A woman's past doesn't come out in answers. It comes out in glitches, in the way her breath catches when silence lingers too long, in how she stiffens when things start to feel too calm, too safe, too quiet, in the way she pulls back when emotions get too close. Most men miss this. They try to dig, to probe, to ask the right questions, hoping that if they talk enough, they'll unlock her story. But that's not how you learn, not with her. The stoic man knows this. He stays still. He observes. He doesn't demand her past. He lets her relive it right in front of him. Every reaction, every hesitation, every emotional storm she hides behind a smile tells him more than any spoken word ever could. This is how you understand her without ever needing to ask. Watch her closely. Not for what she says, but for what she avoids. The moment you ask, "So what's your dating history?" like you lose something more valuable than information. You lose the power of silence. You lose her trust in your stillness. Stoic men don't interrogate, they observe. They know the truth lives in the body. A woman's past isn't stored in her stories. It's buried in her reactions. In how she flinches when a voice rises, even slightly. In how she grows uneasy when the room goes quiet. In how her shoulders tense when you mention loyalty, or cheating, or heartbreak. That tension, that's the echo of something she survived. You don't need her words. Her body remembers what her mouth can't say. Stoicism teaches this. Don't force people to open. You let them unfold. Ask yourself, does she rush to please you? That's not sweetness, it's the scar of rejection. Does she withdraw when you show affection? That's not mystery, it's fear of closeness. Does she talk endlessly about independence? Maybe she had to build it after depending on the wrong person. Her truth is written in the way she carries herself, in the way she apologizes before you're even upset, in the way she pulls back when you look at her too kindly, in the way she laughs but watches your eyes while doing it, just to make sure it's okay. Her past bleeds through the cracks. You just have to be quiet long enough to notice. Most men listen for stories. Stoic men listen for tension, for pauses, for patterns. What she avoids says more than what she shares. You want to know if she's been hurt? Watch how she reacts when you don't text back right away. See how she responds when you show confidence without apology. Pay attention when she's not in control. Her fear, her flinches, her habits, those are memories, not quirks. You don't need to ask where she's been. You just need to stay long enough to see where she's afraid to go. That's the difference. Anyone can listen to words, few can sit still enough to hear the silence. So don't chase her story. Let it unfold. Let her reveal it not in confessions, but in the way she breathes when she thinks you're not watching. Don't ask, just watch. Don't press, just wait. She'll show you everything without saying a single word. A woman who's still carrying pain doesn't need to tell you her story. She lives it every single day, in the way she breathes through discomfort, in the way she prepares for the worst, even in moments of peace. She's not trying to hide it. She's just trying to survive it. And when you bring stillness into her storm, when you offer quiet instead of pressure, her reactions write the entire story for you. You don't need to ask her what happened. You only need to observe what awakens her anxiety and what softens it. That's how you learn without ever touching the question, because she's not guarding her truth with silence, she's guarding it with subtlety. And the closer you look, the louder it becomes. She tells you everything when she thinks you're not listening. She reveals herself in the smallest, quietest moments because she learned a long time ago that shouting her truth never made anyone hear it. So now, she whispers. She speaks in passing. She drops fragments of her past like breadcrumbs. Not to be dramatic, not to gain sympathy, but just to see if you'll notice. And if you're too busy filling the space with your own noise, with your own stories, with your own need to respond, you'll miss it. You'll miss the sentence that held her entire heart. Because women don't confess when you ask. They confess when you don't. It'll be in the middle of a casual story. Maybe while she's laughing about something unrelated. Maybe while she's recalling a memory from childhood or talking about an old friend. And suddenly, almost like she didn't mean to say it, she dropped the line. Yeah, I don't really trust people like that anymore. Or, I guess I learned to handle everything myself. And just like that, she'll move on. Change the subject. Smile like it meant nothing. But that was everything. That was the blueprint. That was the moment. That was her life, her pain, her trust issues, her coping strategies. All wrapped into one sentence she gave you without warning. Not because she wanted you to fix her. Not because she wanted your pity. But because for a moment, she felt safe enough to be seen. And what you do next matters more than anything. Most men miss it. They jump to comfort her. They immediately try to relate, to bring up their own story. Or worse, they try to fix it. They start digging, asking more questions, poking around in what was just offered so gently. And that ruins everything. Because now she knows you weren't listening to understand, you were listening to respond. Now she knows you need to do something with her pain, instead of just holding it. But the stoic man, he doesn't interrupt. He doesn't jump in. He doesn't flinch at her truth. He listens. He lets the moment breathe. Maybe he nods. Maybe he holds eye contact. Maybe he stays silent, but he lets her sit in what she just said. He doesn't try to carry it for her. He just doesn't run from it. And that's everything, because women don't open when they're questioned. They open when they feel seen, even in silence. She'll tell you about the guy who vanished on her with no explanation, but she'll say it like a joke, like ghosting is just part of life now. She'll tell you her dad used to walk out of the room when her mom cried, but only while explaining why she avoids conflict. She won't say, "I've been abandoned." She'll say, "I don't like relying on people." She won't say, "I don't feel safe." She'll say, "I don't need anyone." And if you're paying attention, you'll hear the truth underneath the translation. She's not hiding, it's just that her pain doesn't speak in bold headlines. It whispers through behavior. It slips into side comments. It shows up in the way she changes the subject when you get too close. In the way her eyes flicker when she speaks a little too honestly. In the way her voice softens when she's not sure if it's okay to feel something. So don't chase her story. Let it come to you. Let her show you what matters. And when she does, respect it. Don't turn it into a project. Don't turn it into a performance. Just be there. Just stay. Because if you can stay still long enough, if you can listen deeply enough, you'll come to understand this truth. The most powerful things women reveal are never said with emphasis. They're said with hesitation. And if you can hear those moments without trying to change them, she'll give you the whole story without ever needing to say it twice. It feels vulnerable, and that's your moment. That's her entire past sitting there unwrapped. And she doesn't even realize she gave it to you because she didn't mean to. It just slipped. And when it slips, it's real. So what do? With that, you hold it. You file it in silence. You let it shape the way you interact with her, but you never weaponize it. Never throw it back at her. Never even bring it up unless she does. Because the moment she realizes you notice the quiet things she didn't even mean to say, you become dangerously attractive. Not because you're empathetic, but because you're tuned in. And that makes her feel emotionally naked. Not in a threatening way, but in a way that makes her want to keep opening. She'll start telling you more, not because you asked, but because you earned it with your stillness. And that's what separates the stoic man from everyone else. He doesn't chase her story. He lets her story surface because he knows that the moment she stops performing for your attention is the moment she starts revealing the truth of who she is. And once she starts doing that, you don't just know her past, you own her trust. If you want to know her past, watch her during conflict. You'll never meet the real woman in your life over dinner. You'll meet her in the silence between texts. You'll meet her when she's angry, when she's triggered, when something doesn't go her way. Because conflict, not comfort, is where the truth of her past comes alive. Anyone can play calm in still water. But when the tide shifts, when her emotions get tested, that's when the past crawls out. You want to know if she was abandoned. Watch what happens when you take space. Not days, just a few hours. Does she spiral? Does she self-destruct? Does she accuse, withdraw, lash out? That's not about you. That's about someone else who disappeared first. You want to know if she was manipulated. Watch how she handles confrontation. If you say something direct, something small even, and she suddenly shuts down or tries to control the narrative or flips your calm truth into an attack, she's not reacting to you. She's reacting to the man who used honesty as a weapon. That man isn't in the room, but you're wearing his shadow now. This is what stoic men understand. Her emotional reactions are echoes. They carry the voice of men she no longer speaks of events she may have forgotten, but her nervous system still remembers perfectly. You don't need to ask what happened to her. She's telling you in every fight, in every defensiveness, in the way she apologizes too quickly or not at all, in how she avoids hard conversations, in how she takes control before she gets hurt, in how she tests your love before trusting it. That's not personality, that's protection. And if you're wise, you won't resent her for it. You'll observe it because conflict isn't a problem, it's a portal. It shows you everything. How she fights, how she forgives, how she copes when she doesn't feel in control. It shows you whether she was taught to speak or to suppress, to blame or to reflect, to connect or to run. And more importantly, it shows you how she sees you, not the version she wants. Not the fantasy, but the male presence she projects her fears onto. That's powerful data. If you're grounded enough to receive it, the average man will either shut down or fight back. The stoic man stays still. He watches. He listens between the yelling. He feels the wound behind the words. Because now he's not hearing her scream, "I don't need you." He's hearing her past scream, "Please don't leave me first." That's when the whole map of her history unfolds in front of you. And you didn't ask, you didn't dig, you didn't push. You simply watched her lose composure and stayed composed. And in that stillness, you didn't just learn her story, you earned her respect. Because the moment she realizes you're not afraid of her chaos, she stops trying to hide it and starts giving you the parts of herself no one else has ever stayed long enough to receive. You'll never find her truth in what she says. You'll find it in what she avoids, in the silence between her confessions, in the way she tests your stillness just to see if you'll break the way someone else once did. The way she fights isn't just emotion, it's memory trying to protect her. And when you observe instead of react, you become the first man who isn't just safe, you become uncharted. Because the men who came before you, they tried to fix her. You didn't. You saw her. And that's what she remembered, not the conversations. But the moment she realized you already knew everything about her without her needing to say a word. If you're done begging for honesty and ready to feel it without asking, comment, "I listen between the lines." Like this video if you'll never see conflict the same way again. Subscribe if you're done with surface level games and ready to master the art of stoic awareness. And share this with the men who ask too many questions and hear too few answers because her story isn't hidden. It's right in front of you if you're still enough to see.